regular planning commission meeting for the city of Reading for Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. We have with us today in the room James Harris and Denny Ducoya, and myself. I'm Wayne Beeler. I am the chairman. And online we have Wilson Fesey, the vice chairman, and Nelson DeLeon. And I'm just checking to see if Peter's here. I don't see Peter, but I'm not sure if he's back from China yet. So 4.
Thanks.
Yeah, we have 4. We have 5. Right? Will, Nelson, and Dan.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah, I know, he's so quiet, you know.
This sounds a lot only here.
Hey guys, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Let's see here, where are they at here? Oh, yeah. So we have received the planning commission agenda. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda? Make a motion. Okay, James, second. Danny? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oh, there he is. Very good. We have an agenda. Okay, and let's see. We did receive a set of minutes for January. However, we received a set on the 14th. We received a set on the 25th.
It's the same draft that's carried forwarded. So it is the same draft that was forwarded.
Okay, because they're two completely different documents.
Oh, really?
One you sent out today has November 28th,
Oh,
22nd, 2022 at the date on the top.
my mistake. Let us use the previous one.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we will look at the minutes that were sent out on February 14th. I did go through these, although I went through them again today and noticed that I missed a few things. But it's all very minor things like a dash or something like that. So, did you have any comments about the minutes, Will?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and everyone. No, I did not have a chance to review them yet. Sorry. Thank you for asking.
Okay, very good. With that, do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as sent out on February 14th with a few minor grammatical changes?
To
Yeah.
move.
Okay, Nelson? For the second? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, very good. And that's a good start to the year. This is the first time in 3 years. So the next up on the list, we have our subdivision and land development plans, and the first one up is 630 South 9th Street. And I will turn it over to Jerome for the update.
Okay, first of all, let's make sure that we're calling this project by the right name. We do not have a proper address to reference, so let's call it the South 9th Street Parking Facility until we have an address of that we think maybe 601 or 631, or maybe something else that's designated by the emergency management coordinators. So the South 9th Street Parking Facility was reviewed as a preliminary / final land development plan. We saw this as a sketch plan. It is located on a 32,230 plus or minus square foot property bounded by South 9th Street, East Laurel Street, and South 9th Street. It will contain a flex building or buildings in a grouping containing 6,400 plus or minus square feet. An improved off-street parking facility and rental for the rental and of automobiles and small trucks, an automobile display area, and 64 plus or minus off-street parking spaces. As mentioned, the plan was submitted with a pre-plan sheets, an abbreviated stormwater management plan, and other miscellaneous requirements. Going through the provisions of the ordinance, it is located within the MC zoning district, and the use is permitted by right within the MC zoning district. Having said that, I think we should place safeguards that are on the that can be referenced on the plan, basically stating how the property can be utilized. Sometimes these properties turn into junkyards or salvage yards, so it's in our best interest to make sure that you have provisions specified. If the applicant constructs and occupies the site as it's shown on the plan, you should have no problem. But I've given Emily some things to take a look at her convenience, so she could react to it, and then we could put proper notes on the plan. So I think we can table that for now, make no decisions at this time until Emily's taking a look at this.
Yeah, and we just received county comments this afternoon, so neither Jerome or I have had really a chance to really go through the comments. So yeah, there are just a few things that were missing on the plans. And then Jerome had quite a few things in his letter, so I suggested that maybe we just table it until we can kind of hash those out, maybe get a better revised plan for next month.
The landscaping plan was also reviewed, and it was determined that the Public Works Department was also had some comments that they would like to see addressed. We had provided some technical reviews for the site accessibility, driveways, parking, and loading. I think that those can be adequately resolved. My understanding too that Public Works was going to be looking into the paving schedule for the next year or so, and just to see if any of these streets are going to be resurfaced. Curbs and sidewalks are going to be completed by the applicant on this plan, so they do show those, but we need a better evaluation from Public Works. Fire and Rescue has not gotten back to us as of yet with regarding to site accessibility. We did briefly review the stormwater management plan and report, and we believe that the report is based upon certain assumptions that we need verification from Public Works before we proceed, and this is irrelevant to the pre and post development calculations that were developed based upon certain assumptions, and those are that the existing areas that are occupied by vehicles are in impervious surfaces and therefore should not be considered as such. We need to look at that in a little bit more detail. It's probably the biggest comment we have in this review, and I think Tim will need some time to also take a look at it, maybe look at it on site. And then we do have our standard requirements that are specified on here: a stormwater management plan or stormwater management maintenance agreement and a municipal improvements agreement will be necessary. Dan is, I believe, here online, and so is Tim. Yeah, I didn't see Tim yet. Oh, there's.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Yeah, we did look up as far as the city's paving plan, and I had a chance, I think Dan and I talked about this yesterday. The city is planning on paving South Street from South 9th Street all the way up to the top of the hill. So we are planning on doing South Street, and that'll be this summer. In fact, it's out to bid right now. We're in the process of going through the bidding phase of the project. And that would include doing the curb ramps at South Street and South 9th Street. Would not include in the other intersection, but it would include that. And we were talking about the curbing along that side of the road. The curbing and sidewalks on South Street is very poor, almost to non-existent. It's some of the worst curbing I've seen in the city, almost to the extent that I don't know if we could even pave that side of the street with the degradation of the curbing. So my hope is that we could get this plan up and running and get the contractor, get the developer to get out there and put some of that curbing in at least so that we can get that paved this year. That would be the ideal situation. And the city will try to help as much as we can, but although, it is curbing, and the curbing beyond the curb ramp is the responsibility of the adjoining owner. So we would like to see that curbing installed as soon as possible. And I have not had a chance, Jerome, to take a look at the stormwater management, but as a general rule, if an area has been used for parking over the years, like this is, usually we'll make the assumption that that area, that stoned area, is impervious. But I'll take a look at that and confirm that for you, so you can continue with your review. My only other question would be, maybe Dan, you can answer this. Is there any sewer planning involved with this at all, with this flex space?
Can you hear me, Tim?
Yes.
Oh, okay. With the flex space, this is just something that the guy thinks would be a good thing on the property. He has no particular uses lined up. This would be, he'd finish the parking lots and then work on this and try to get people that would be meet the zoning requirements for the area to be tenants. But he doesn't have anything lined up. It's like a typical shopping center. You got to get the anchor store in, and then other people will come. But that's his dream, to rather than having that as a big parking area up there, and that he thought it would be better use to put the building in there. We were looking at, just one or two employees at each one, maybe like a plumber or something like that, where most of the day they're gone. So there's would be minimal water usage. So I was thinking that the whole thing would come in somewhere around an EDU. But I would imagine if this thing comes to fruition and it's something else, then we would do a sewage planning module at that point for the city. That's the way I'm looking at it. He has no firm use for it, but he'd like to put a building there rather than a big parking space.
So you see a building, but it would be just spec building. It would be empty and available for tenants. And then you would fit it out for the tenant as you would.
Kind of like a flex building,
Yeah.
I think he has them laid out as 20, the 24-foot units.
Right. So he would build it on spec. So the plumbing would be installed at the time that the flex space is built then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there would be some water. So I guess we would need to know at this stage, what the water usage would be for that spec building.
Well, you don't know until you have a use for it. It certainly isn't going to be a car wash or something like that with a large use. But if it's like an office is what, 10 gallons a day per person.
Yeah.
And if you have a plumber in there and he has a helper and they're in and out and during the day, so that you have 20 gallons.
Yeah. Emily, if would a zoning permit be required after the flex building is built? Would there be any need for a zoning permit to occupy the building?
Yeah, so what will happen is that there will be one zoning permit for the development of the lot, so whatever they decide to put on this land development plan, if it's a spec building or, they leave it blank, whatever. They'll get a zoning permit for the structure, but then as each individual use goes in, then each individual tenant will get their own zoning permit. And so that will come with a review, and so, like we've been doing recently is if there's any questions about, EDUs or, water usage, we'll notify, you or Deb. And then
Right.
we'll send them to do planning modules if they're required to do.
Dan, question is, you mentioned on the plan or reference on the plan that there are 4 employees. Is it, and there's 7 flex units itself. Is it 4 employees per flex space, or is it 4 per the entire building?
No, I was thinking I think 4 employee, 4 times 7 is 28 and 10 is 280. So that gets us up around an EDU. That's where I was coming.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I
if
think
we
a
have,
narrative would,
Yeah, that's my next thing. Jerome. Yeah, if you could put that in a narrative like you've done in the past, Dan,
yeah,
to justify that, that'll get us through the zoning permit and the planning for this phase. And then, like Emily was saying, is if you're going with different uses, maybe there's more of a need and you're going to need more water consumption, then we can take a look at the planning use at that point.
yeah,
Also
that
phase.
sounds fair. Because, maybe,
also phase.
Yeah, phasing.
now I'll talk to my client and see if he'd be willing to put that curb in on South Street this year.
Yeah,
All the curb is a disaster.
it
But
is.
I don't want to
Pretty bad.
bankrupt the guy. He wants to be building improvements and stuff. If the city can work with him and we get kind of a time schedule that say we do South Street this year and maybe 9th Street next year,
Mhm.
we could do the drive ramps that we need and then tie the curb between it and then start putting sidewalk in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the price of concrete, it's a boatload of money that he's putting up without any income coming in. So it's all cash laid out. So
Yeah,
it would be nice
sure.
if we could work with something like that, that we can kind of do it in phases.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Earlier, when we did the sketch plan, we did, talk about allowing this project to go through phases. So if your client, if you just want to discuss with your client kind of like how to do it, and then his first phase would be curving along 9th Street. So
I think his first, it's either, you got 9th Street and then you got, what's the other street? You got South Street and, Neversink. I think Neversink and South and 9th Street would be in that as his first phase, but as Tim's saying, they want to pave South Street this year. So we'd want to maybe push that up so that you can pave your street and have nice curb and we're not digging it up in a year or two.
Jerome, are you thinking have an improvements agreement for phase 1?
Yeah.
And then they don't like to post that security and then.
I think that would be appropriate, and I think what we were talking about earlier with the stormwater management, I would agree if phase 1 was the lower section, with access going off of into 9th Street as well as South Street. I think we could work out a stormwater management plan that could, justify the pre and post development conditions. However, once we start going to the top and to the portion that's undeveloped along East Laurel Street, I think that we might want to look at other possible stormwater management improvements in that area. Let's let Tim take a look at it first.
Well, that area up there is all gravel too. The whole site is pretty well gravel. So I was figuring that we didn't do any stormwater management per se as far as detention, but that's why I put the catch basins down at the corner there, so that we didn't have that water coming down that parking lot and running over the bank onto the intersection there at Neversink and 9th, that we're conveying that in a pipe, and that seemed to be a much better scenario than what's happening now.
Tim, if you want to organize a site meeting, I mean, we could all meet out there. That might be the best way of going about it.
I think a site meeting would be really helpful because then the curbing going up along Neversink seems to have settled, which that's the best curbing on the whole place. But if you would extend about 5 feet from the curbing, there's looks like settlement of some kind that has occurred. And if you extend the cartway over, I think for the most part, it goes over the top of the curb. So there's no way to lift that curb up, and you certainly don't want to dig the street down to match the curb. That sounds to me that would be a more expensive operation than redoing the curb. But I think we should look at it. And maybe somebody can come up with a better idea.
So Dan, you're saying that there's sinking on Neversink Road? Is that the idea?
Well, is it? I don't know.
Aristides is laughing. I can see it.
Who's
I had to
laughing?
say it.
Who's laughing?
Aristides.
I don't know if it's settled or not. It's a kind of just a strange situation. Usually your cartway goes over at a straight grade, and this goes
Yes.
down and
No,
an undulation.
Now I'm following your description. I
Yeah.
have not seen it. So yeah, I would need to get out there and take a look at that. Well, I think it does warrant a site view to see what's
Yeah,
going on.
I think we should look at it and see and then we can make some kind of he keeps changing things. The parking lot that comes in along 9th Street, he'd like to separate that into 2 separate parking areas and get them smaller. So if you're putting security fences around it, it almost means that I'd have to put 2 ramps, access ramps in side by side. Is that allowable? Leave a space between them and put 2 ramps in there instead of
Now you're saying ramps or driveways? Driveway
driveways, yeah.
driveway aprons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you're showing now?
No,
No, you're just
show
showing it with one.
but
Yeah. Okay.
He keeps changing his mind. and I'm throwing a dart at his
Yeah.
conceptions.
Yeah.
So what his newest plan would be that the parking area up by South Street.
Okay.
He'd like to break that into 2 smaller driveways and to put security fence around it and make them separate. I would need 2 ramps, basically side by side. Is that something that we can do?
We could also escrow the fences and the limits of the fencing to have it as temporary, and then maybe look at what we can do for permanent situations once you get there. So if you're going to be saying doing phase 1 this year and phase 2 within like 6 months, I mean, it doesn't make sense that we fence in phase 1 when we could just. But if he's going to be like years, like 5 years from now, then we want to make sure we have financial security in place to take under that fencing requirement. So we'll be able to work that out.
Yeah, let's, if you guys wanna schedule your site visit, and then Dan, if you wanna get your client to really just like get a final plan, that way, when you do whatever revisions on the plans, you're not doing, a second one because he changed his mind. He really
Yeah.
needs to make up his mind now what he wants.
That would be helpful. He says this is the last time. So but I think a site visit and we can hash over some of these things, and I think it's better looking at it and we can resolve some of these issues. We can look at the conditions of the surface and see if we need any stormwater. I've looked at it and it's pretty well hard packed. I hate to say what you dig into. It was former buildings and stuff there. You don't know what's buried. So I don't think infiltration would be a good idea. You start doing underground detention and boy, that really gets expensive fast.
All right.
So table pending the site visit and revisions.
Okay, very good.
When do we
The,
want to have the site visit?
Sooner the better.
I think that Tim,
Dan, do you have
Tim-
access to your calendar?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking. I guess I would suggest later in the week, first week of March, maybe Thursday. Would that be Thursday? Oh, we have Rats meeting that
Let's,
day.
let's attempt to. Okay. Yeah, I like Michael Hartman there, just to.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't think we need Jim Dimmerling. I think you know more about the paving schedules than he does, so.
Yeah, no, the only thing I can think about Jim Dimmerling is, Dan was talking about having these 2 driveway entrances for the upper. That may be more of a zoning issue. I suppose as long as it's safe, I don't know if having 2 driveways would be a problem, but that may be a traffic concern
Well,
to look at.
They do that on those small properties going down along like Cherry Street and stuff, where you have coming in back off of Penn Street.
Yeah,
And you'll have driveways coming in side by side. So I think that's kind of
Mhm.
what he has in mind, that
Yeah.
what he wants to do is be able to rent that parking area to one person. And then rather than having this open to the general public for parking, that XYZ company rents the 10 spaces from them or whatever it is for, and that they and he thinks he can do a little better with smaller spaces than lots of big spaces.
Yeah. Maybe you want to sketch something up on that so we know what you're thinking.
I can bring something to the meeting. All we
Yeah.
do is have to decide. I'm pretty good in the first week of March. You guys see what you can come up with.
Yeah, later is going to be
I'm
better
also
for me.
Okay. Let's attempt to throw out some dates tomorrow and attempt to schedule.
Yeah.
What was that, Jerome?
We'll attempt to schedule some, get some alternative dates, and Dan, in the interim, you can give me yours directly, and then I'll get mine, and then I'll send them over to Tim.
I can pretty well fix my schedule up to anything you guys come up with. I don't have anything, during the day pressing next week. So, or I can adjust my schedule. There is. So you guys come up with something that fits for you,
Okay,
and I'll be there.
very good. Got it. Thank you, Dan.
Okay,
Does,
thank you.
any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on this plan? Okay, hearing none, of course, we've already seen this twice before, so I think we went over a lot of things previously. So, do I hear a motion to table? Dennis? Okay, second? Second. James? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Very good. We have tabled the plan, but we hope to see you next week, then, next month then.
Yeah, I think we can make the adjustments that Jerome's looking at. I'll try to do that for the meeting. Do we need an extension, or are we good?
You're good for right now, Dan?
Yeah, this
Okay.
is our first one, looking at it as a preliminary, right?
It actually
Oh,
starts-
okay, yeah.
The 90-day clock actually starts today.
Yeah, okay, so we're in real good shape.
Okay, well then we're good.
Well, that was the positive thing about bringing in the sketch plan twice for us to look at. So, what's big help?
Well, I needed it for him too.
No, it helped us too, so I'm glad you did that, Dan.
Okay, and I got the letter from the arborist, so I can address his comments. And we'll see what we can do for our site meeting and how we want to approach things.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
And we will move on. We will move on to the Castlewood Street dedication. Let's see here. Do you want to take this, Jerome, or should I hand it over to Phil?
Let's start with Tim first.
Oh, let's start with Tim.
Or Michelle, either one.
Yeah.
Okay.
My only, where is, go ahead, Tim, because I was
Yeah,
gonna say, where does it sit with councils? Councils should take the lead.
Yeah, actually, I don't know that city council is, well, I think they're aware of it, but they're not in a position yet to take any action. The last time we talked about this was last April, I believe. And at that time, we had talked about stormwater management agreement, which was the main reason why we had some, I think we tabled it at that time. I think the commission tabled the request for the revision to the plan of record. So we have a revision to the plan of record in front of us. The plan looks good. The survey was corrected. It meets now. It meets our satisfaction. The notes are good. We just needed a stormwater management plan. And this one's tricky because it's the city that owns the property, and it's basically the city's stormwater features that lie next to the road, the swales and then the pipes and the pipes and swales that eventually go into the two basins are now the city's responsibility, because the roads, when they get dedicated, will shed runoff into those swales, and the city's responsible for the stormwater management of that runoff in accordance with our DEP's MS4 permit. So in a way that's similar to the way that the city deals with off-site, or I should adjacent features, we want the stormwater management portion of these streets to be maintained by the local homeowners and or the HOA to be doing that. And that's what we've been working on here for the last how many months, trying to get a stormwater management plan that makes some sense. So we finally nailed that down. The HOA, Phil Urbina and his attorney put together a stormwater management agreement, and we tweaked it. And Public Works we reviewed it here. We're satisfied with the way it's written now. We're happy with it, and we're happy to make a recommendation to the Planning Commission for the next step, which would be, and Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, which would be for the Planning Commission to recommend to City Council to dedicate these two streets.
Yeah, I think there's a couple actions, going back regarding the stormwater management agreement. I think there's still the outstanding issue as to who's gonna sign it.
Yes. Yes, the
I
body,
think each
the body of
property-
the agreement is fine. Yeah, we need to find out. Yeah, we need to figure out. I'm going to let the attorneys work on that. Who needs to sign it? But the actual agreement with how it's structured meets our friend from an engineering standpoint. It meets our approval.
Right, but along those lines, it's with the property owner, not with the HOA. So I think, and each property owner would have to grant the city access. So I think,
Yes.
and I will have a conversation with the attorney, I think each property owner that's affected by this.
Right. And that's not that much different than the way the right-of-way is handled in the city for curbs and sidewalks and street trees. All of those features are in the right-of-way, the public right-of-way, but the adjacent property owner is responsible for maintaining those. So it's very similar to what we have in the city for those right-of-way features.
Yeah.
So that's the
If I
first
could,
question, and go ahead.
Go ahead, Phil.
well, all I would say is that, we're aware of this. Mr. Price said that whomever you would be, you on your side would be responsible. If you contact his office, he'll meet with you, he'll come to City Hall and get this thing resolved in just a matter of a very short period of time. I think the only thing we said was we would like to sign off as the HOA, because in all of our rules and regulations
That are deeded
we are required
in the deeds.
to do that. It's in our deeds. So if the homeowner doesn't do it, the HOA will go ahead and do it,
And then charge them.
and then they get charged for it. So basically, you're covered in terms of the city our engineer, the engineering study told us exactly what we needed to do and how we needed to do it and so forth. So, we're all prepared to sign off as the HOA, and any details, as Mr. Kroll said, call Steve's Price office. He's waiting for a phone call, and we can get this thing wrapped up for everybody.
Then the thing that you have to think about is, no, you don't need to show me. The
It's okay,
HOA,
Dan, we know who you are.
We know who you are.
okay. Same thing happened to city council. The HOA will always be here. The tenant or the homeowners will come and go. So what happens if half the people leave and their signature's not on the whatever thing you want them to sign? But the HOA will still be responsible. It's a legal entity.
Because
And we're agreeing to do it as a legal entity. It's widely known that
but
there's acceptable use for that.
Okay.
the stormwater agreement's gonna get recorded against each property. And it'll be applicable to each successor. So every property owner, even though they're not a signer. If you sell the property to me, I take responsibility for that because I'm the property owner and it's
Okay.
recorded with recorder deeds.
Well, what I suggest you do is call Steve Price, get it worked out,
I will
as
contact
Jim
Steve.
said, between the attorneys, and let's get this thing wrapped up. I think you've spent more time on it than was required, and I know we have too, and we're not going to let you down. We're part of this city. We want to be here. We want to do our part. And we've been here for quite a few years, and we're going to be here for quite a few more. So I suggest you call Steve Price tomorrow and get that resolved. Thank you.
Tim, regarding the action by this commission, if there's not a petition pending before council, I don't know that they're ready to make a comment. However, after having the discussion regarding the agreement, who's going to sign the revised plan of record as the owner? Are you? Is that another conversation we need to have with the HOA signing that?
Wise deed for the road?
Tim, did you hear me?
Yeah, I did. You're asking me. It sounds like a legal question. I guess I would look and
It is,
see.
but I just.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I just wanted your thoughts, and had you given that any consideration?
Yeah, I had thought about that. I guess, you know what, I look back, who signed the original one back in the 80s? Was that it might have been the owner of the property at the time.
It would be the developer, yeah.
It would have been the developer.
Oh,
And
yeah,
since
it would
then,
be.
he was the declarant, and now the HOA would be the owner.
You're the owner.
I'm going to have to revert back to the
I think
solicitor.
I think right now the HOA owns the
owner.
road. We own the road. I think at one point it
Yes.
got sold at a tax sale or something.
That's not fine.
And all right. And anyway, somehow we wound up with it. And
Yeah.
that I'm sure is recorded someplace
Yeah.
in the
No,
courthouse.
that is true. The property lines for each of the homeowners' lots does not extend into
Right.
the street. It ends at the edge of the street, and it's that
Correct.
piece in the middle which is now the HOA owns that, is now going to transfer upon dedication, transfer to the city. So that
Correct.
is correct.
So I'm okay with that with the streets. Yeah, let me have a conversation with Attorney Price, because it may be a better way just to have the city do a resolution amending the existing plan of record to remove the dedication or private street language, because that removes the language, that removes the requirement for the revised plan of record. We get the same way with we get the same result in a different way. And we don't have to have the discussion into who's gonna sign the revised plan of record.
I'm not sure I heard.
Yeah, I'm not
what
sure I
you
understand
put all
either.
that.
You want to go over that again, Michelle?
In some jurisdictions, what we did, just for example, if the original plan said you had to have 10 trees and we agreed down the road, it's not a good idea to have 10 trees. Rather than do a complete revised plan of record, we do a resolution amending the recorded plan that basically says you can have 4 trees instead of 10. So in this case, I think the resolution would be agreeing to removal of the, as I understand it, there's a note on the existing plan that says these roads shall never be dedicated.
Yes.
So I think maybe the simpler resolution, rather than do a revised plan of record, unless there's something else we need to capture. If the only reason for doing a revised plan of record is to remove that note, just do a resolution amending that plan that gets recorded with the recorder of deeds saying that that note's removed.
Well, I'll add this, that there was some tweaking of the property lines. The Ludgate
Okay,
is
so
the
then we need-
surveyor, and there was some, I think I just call it enhancements or maybe some corrections. I think there was the name of the road too. It's Glen Road was also changed. So there was some minor tweaks, just to make some, edits in it with the way it should appear. So it's not just that one note.
Okay, so we do need a revised plan of record. So
Yeah, and
we'll
it
have to
was
figure out
submitted
who's
as a
gonna sign it.
revised plan of record. So it's sitting there on the table, ready for action.
Okay, we'll figure out, I think that's the only outstanding issue with that is who to sign it.
Okay, but you're still recommending, Michelle, that we have the commission recommend dedication to city council, which we've done on previous ones? Is that
We
what
don't
I'm
have a
hearing?
petition pending. Is there a petition pending?
Well,
If there's no petition
you
pending,
mean, I think it was the homeowners association that filed the petition. Is that right?
That is
okay, so
correct.
there is, so there is
Yeah.
a petition with the city council, then yes, then this commission could recommend dedication, subject to approval of revised plan of record. And
Yeah,
the stormwater agreements.
I think, Phil, I remember all the homeowners signed that petition, didn't they?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
They were that, yes, okay.
Okay.
All right.
And I think Jerome and I, we talked, and were you going to try to draft something for tonight?
We did that a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's on record.
Yeah,
They've already made a recommendation.
yeah, I'm okay, with, as far as figuring out the signatures. To me, I think that's something we can resolve. If you're satisfied, Michelle, I'm still willing to make the recommendation for this resolution for the planning commission to make the recommendation.
Yeah, just out of caution in case we can't find it or it wasn't done or something, let's just reaffirm or
Okay.
again, do it if the commission is so inclined.
And I would just recommend this, if you have any small details that we who aren't lawyers aren't quite privy to, please call Steve Price. He'll work the whole thing out with you and, keep this thing on track. So he's awaiting a phone call should you feel a need to discuss it with him. And we've given him authorization to do whatever he needs to do to keep this moving.
But we would like you to approve it tonight.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as plan approval, that would have to come following city council's approval of the dedication. Then we can come back, and if we're doing the revised plan of record, which I think is the way we're going right now, then the planning commission can approve the revised plan of record.
Correct, we'd have to have the dedication first, so.
Right.
All right, makes sense to me, but does any of the commissioners have any comments? Okay, hearing none, do I hear a motion to recommend to city council to dedicate Kingsway and Queens
Well,
Court.
Court?
and if they're coming back with a revised plan of record, you don't need to have those conditions, so.
Oh, okay. To recommend the dedication of the streets within Castlewood to city council, subject to signature of the revised plan of record is agreed to by the city.
You don't have to do that, because they'll be coming back to you for revised plan of record.
Yeah.
Because we'll address it at that time.
And submission of the stormwater management.
Same, we'll deal with that as part of the revised plan of record.
Very good. So basically, the motion would be, we recommend the dedication of the of the streets within Castlewood, to be dedicated to the city of Reading.
Yeah.
So here, who would like to make the motion? Okay, James. Okay, second. Okay, Dan. I would do it myself because these poor people have been waiting, what, a dozen years for this? So, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I think I heard Nelson. There he is. Opposed? Very good. We have our recommendation to council. We'll let Michelle and Steve duke it out for the last little minor things, and then I think we look forward to, once the city dedicates the streets, the HOA of Castlewood will come back to us with a revised plan of record, and then we can approve that and sign it.
Hey, Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Jerome, we did review this on April 29th, 2024.
Sounds right.
This was the dedication of the internal roads. I'll forward that just to make sure everyone has a copy of it again. But I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I think we did what was requested back then.
Yes, that sounds right. That's what I have in my notes too.
And yeah, there was a bunch of comments, and I think that those were all addressed.
Yes, that's what I'm looking at too.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Michelle, just one thing while you're talking to Steve, we will need an ordinance so city council has something to act on. So I don't know who that's going to come from, but that'll have to be generated for.
I think Steve Price did write that ordinance.
Oh, he's got an ordinance? Oh, okay. Very good.
And you also did some work along there, as I recall. I mean, I know you have a million things on your mind, but I'm reflecting back many, many months. And I thought you did some of that too. So that's what I'm saying. I think a communication with Steve Price will unlock a whole bunch of things for you and keep moving.
If any kind of an ordinance came from me, it is purely suggestion.
Well,
I am not an attorney.
No. And we had that conversation before.
Yeah.
And I forwarded that information to Steve.
Oh, good.
And he looked at it.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm saying, I think it is out there. I think we just need the communication between the two attorneys and let them work it out.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned it, I remember that now. I think I did have something.
Yes.
So, Michelle, if you don't have that, I'll forward that to you, just so everybody has all the stuff. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Anything else?
No, unless you have any questions for us, Phil.
No, I would just say make that phone call, and I think that'll solve a lot of stuff for you. And we thank all of you for your time and patience with
Thank you
this.
very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Dan. It's good to see you.
Nice meeting
Okay.
you too also.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, and from here, we move on to the Burn Street Car Wash, which I will turn over to Jerome. Me or to Michelle?
I think this is actually the three of us, Tim, myself, and Michelle, with respects to this project. As you all know, that this project was floating around for a while, was reaffirmed several times. We last looked at everything and determined that the plan was in good shape to have recorded. It was just a matter of the municipal improvements agreement being checked, and I believe it was, and stormwater management agreement as well. So I think we're on our way, unless I'm missing any loose ends.
Yeah, the only, I followed up with Attorney London today. Tim got me comments about the stormwater. I sent her, asked her to make revisions to the stormwater agreement.
Yep.
Already, we don't escrow anymore. And
Right.
once we get that, we should be good to go for getting signatures for.
Yep.
We should get that back and we should be good to go for signatures.
This was reaffirmed last month.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. We're okay to talk about this recently.
Just a few months when that final agreement is finalized, if we can just, I don't know if, Mr. Rowland wants to drop off the copy that's signed, that way then I'll have Wayne sign that copy. And that way it doesn't get lost in, in my emails. But also, the escrow, the planning escrow hasn't been replenished and the account is currently negative $1,100 and some odd dollars.
You're talking separate from the improvements. That's right.
Yeah, this is just the planning
It's
escrow.
review escrow.
I have spoken with someone at the zoning office window before when the escrow was brought current, that we needed additional escrow to be reestablished. And I don't know if maybe they forgot or what happened there, but currently we still need that additional $6,000 check to cover what's currently negative and then to cover any last invoices that might come in for reviews and such.
It's probably gonna be.
And we won't release plans for reporting.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you're getting the agreements and stuff ready, we can at least get them signed, but we won't release the plans until that escrow is replenished.
As soon as someone gets me some sort of an invoice for that, I'm happy to pay that. Yeah.
Well, so this is the thing, when the account was brought current, it set everything to 0. To continue reviews, it's an additional $6,000 escrow that then we apply invoices to. So we can send you what invoices have been sent currently, but then that's just gonna bring you current. It doesn't reestablish your escrow for any future invoices from Michelle or Jerome.
Yes,
Okay,
we can send
so-
anything else for invoices.
Just bring a check in for $6,000 then, I guess is what you're looking for.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it'll cover what's outstanding now, any miscellaneous that may come within the next couple months, and then whatever's left over will get refunded to you.
Okay, and who should that be made payable to?
City of Reading,
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
no problem.
And Michelle, this is John Rowland. I've talked to Joan. I don't think we expect to be on tonight. That I understand the agreements are between the two of you then at this point. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's one minor tweak. The city stopped escrowing stormwater funds, stormwater management funds for the 10-year inspections. She'd used an old form because this project's been around for a while, unfortunately, so I sent her the updated language. Once she plugs that in, we should be.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
So you don't have to pay the $5,000 up front. You just have to pay that in. So.
Okay.
All right.
And I just have one comment, a technical comment. I was just looking through and I may have some old data here, but the NPDS permit was originally intended to expire in December. Does anyone know if that's been extended?
Yeah, it's been extended, Tim.
Okay,
We're good.
very good. Yeah, if you have that extension letter, Greg, if you could shoot that over to us, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, they haven't issued any. They owe us probably 15 of them right now.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's fine, we don't need a.
There's nothing going on. No,
Yeah, okay, just.
Right.
Just making sure.
I mean, if you would make authorization for you to sign the plan, but sign the agreements, but I typically consider that as part of the plan, so it's not absolute.
Okay, great. I think everyone agrees that I wind up signing everything anyway, so. Let's see here. Does any of the commissioners have a question on this plan? Okay, hearing none, I want to thank everyone for joining us so that we can get these few little minor things discussed, and I guess we might be able to take, is there any other thing that we need to do? Because we already reaffirmed it, right?
Yeah, unless for some unknown reason, but yeah, there's nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So we thank you again for joining us, and we wish you great success with the project, with however you decide to move forward with it.
Okay. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks all.
Okay, thanks, Greg.
Sure thing.
All right. Okay, as we move on, as we move on, what is the recipes here for? Oh,
The original agenda had the school district on it. The one that was, the one that I got is the notice. So I don't know here for that.
He did request, he wanted to participate in the commission, the planning commission.
For a beer.
Meeting, but.
It's cold too.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Orestes. What, is there anything you need?
Sure, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm in my car. I got stuck before I got home when this time came up. So there's no real action for you guys to take. And I know I had chatted with Simon earlier, or I guess late last week. Really, we're just trying to track down the status of the agreements. I think the draft agreements as reviewed by our client's attorney were sent to the city back on December 11th. And in checking with the rest of the city staff and city engineer, I think all of the conditions, including the cost estimate amount, were approved. And I think at this point, we're just waiting for the agreements. I think it was a week or so ago, we had a pre-con meeting for another project, and it was concurred that the school district would prepare or obtain the letter of credit for the approved amount. The reason I'm trying to push this along and get this resolved is because I believe, and Mr. Evans from the architectural group is here, Schrader Group. The contractors are hoping to begin work in like a week or two. And from what I'm being told is the permits that the contractors are trying to obtain are being held because we don't have final plan approval, I guess, or the plan isn't recorded. So I'm just trying to shake this loose. I'm not sure what the status is of the agreements from the city side, and like to try to get that resolved.
Yeah, we had internal communication today. We just need to confirm that the stormwater management requirements are covered in the MIA, which I think they are. I think Tim responded later today. So I am good with the agreements, provided everybody's good with the cost estimate, and we are
Yes.
not doing a stormwater management agreement for this project.
Right.
That's correct.
Correct.
So if you want to get assigned, are we good with timing for last time it was reaffirmed?
Yeah.
I can't remember the rest of the.
Simon,
January.
the only question I had on the cost estimate was I didn't see anything in the estimate for inspection. And normally we add, I don't know, what is it, Jerome? There's something in there, but
10%.
maybe you're taking care of that through the escrow. I don't know. Maybe if it's already being escrowed, you don't need to include it.
It should be part of the improvements agreement, because as Emily said with the prior project, the planning escrow should be released. And this should be separate.
It was on there originally as 10%.
Oh, was it? Aristides, do you remember? I looked at, maybe I was looking at an older version.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a line item, like a numbered line item. It's probably at the bottom. I know we had submitted it, was approved in the back and forth coordination. I think I resent it. Jerome, if you and I want to touch down in the morning just to be sure, because I'm pretty sure it's in there as far as city inspection, whatever percent, 10%, I believe.
Right.
That would have been in there as a comment if we didn't have the correct. We always have it in there. It's just a matter of what the correct percentage is. Whether it's some are 8, some are 10, some are,
I think we use 10.
Yeah.
So
I will also check with Liz to see where we stand in terms of the escrow.
It was reaffirmed in November.
We needed a reaffirmation.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if he can stay on until we get to the plans requiring reaffirmation.
Yeah. I can do that.
And I'll check the escrow. I'll check the escrow in the interim.
So yeah, if someone could just let me know that the agreements as forwarded are good to sign via email, then I'll get that over to the client. And assuming that means I can get those signed as well as execute the plan, signatures, seals, notarizations, so that everything's lined up and we can get that to the city.
And Aristides, it looks like there's a 10% city inspection in
Yeah.
that. So,
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, just to make sure that that's the cost estimate and carried over in the number of the improvements agreement.
Yep.
As long as we're comfortable with that and that the stormwater is covered in the escrow, I'm fine with that, or the cost estimate. We're good to go.
Talk school here.
So hang tight, we've got one more item and then we'll get to your reaffirmation.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I can confirm that too. It's 10%. It's on your.
And it is part of the last number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yep, that's important. We need Hog Valley out there to do those inspections.
Okay. Um. Okay. And. Sorry about that. Okay, next on the agenda is plans requiring time extensions. I don't believe we have any. Okay. So next we have plans requiring reaffirmation. And with this, would someone like to make a motion to reaffirm the plan for the Reading School District Thomas Ford Reading Knight Accelerated Academy Edition and
Any more words?
Hydroponics Center?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, James? Okay, second? Dan? Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. We have you reaffirmed, Aristides, and then as soon as you can get those plans over, we'll come in and sign them.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I'll work on that. It'll be no problem for us to do it tomorrow, and then get them over to the school district for their execution. And then I'll check in with Wayne regarding the establishment of the letter of credit, because you'll need that too. And then I'll drop them off. I'll let everybody know they were dropped off, and hopefully we can get those signed and ultimately release the permits contractors are trying to obtain.
Yeah, and Emily will coordinate
Yeah, as.
our signatures and make sure that everything winds up upstairs.
Yeah, Aristides, if you just, once you get those, the agreements signed on your half, on your part, and then the plans, you can bring both of them and I'll make sure that the commissioners sign them.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Aristides.
Yeah.
Because, we don't want to be holding up the school district because of, they like to get everything open in August, so.
Yeah, I know it was a time of year, right before the holidays. I'm sure there was quite a bit going on, and but I just didn't want to lose sight of it and keep things moving forward and not lose more time. So I appreciate you speak our piece.
All right, very good, thank you. And once again, if something ever comes up like this again, just come and join us, and we'll try to resolve the issue.
I appreciate it.
Okay, very good. Let's see here. Christie's is here. Who is Mr. Bean?
He's attorney, he's probably here for me.
Oh, the beekeeping.
Ah, great. We're almost there.
hello.
Do we have, next on our normal agenda are waivers? I don't believe we have any waivers there. Okay. So next, we have the beekeeping ordinance, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Bean.
Yeah, so we saw that this was on the agenda for this evening. I'm a member of the EAC, a former chair of the EAC. With me this evening is Jim Cole, who is a fellow member, and Jim is actually the member of the EAC who was principally responsible for drafting and shepherding this ordinance through our policy committee, and then through the EAC as a whole. So I understand this has been back and forth, with the Berks County Planning Commission. I think they submitted their final letter several weeks ago indicating that they have no additional comments on our proposed ordinance. And I guess at this point, we saw it was on the agenda for you to review this evening, and we wanted to make sure that we were available for any questions or comments that the commission might have.
Yeah, so the First County Planning Commission did provide a review letter dated December 16th. Most of the comments had to really do with the wording, just little tweaks in the wording, clarification in the wording, taking out a few things that maybe made it a little bit contradictory in interpretation. So we basically took all of that, made the suggested changes. We provided a response letter January 15th. They responded on February 3rd saying that they had no further comments. I did speak with their planner, Taylor Lawrence, just to explain about the pools and apiaries. If you remember from our previous conversations, it was which one comes first, and it's whichever one got the zoning permit first, on who's allowed to be there. So other than that, there haven't been major changes from what was previously given to the commission. I did send out the email with the corrections that were made. Again, they weren't anything major that changed anything of substance. It was, again, tweaks for clarification. And yeah, it's ready for a recommendation for council.
Does any commissioner have any comments on this?
Council's not scheduled a hearing or anything, that's correct.
I'm sorry?
Council's not scheduled a hearing or anything.
No,
else.
I haven't.
Hearing no comments.
One of the things, Mr. Chairman, that we discussed in our last meeting was that as this ordinance goes forward, the group was supposed to come up with a small kind of placard or some kind of a billboard that informed the various people that there was existence of this, a hive in a particular homestead. I don't know if that's something that you have also looked at, whether it is part of the ordinance or is something that will come at the later stage when people start, applying for this particular project.
Jim Cole, are you able to speak to that?
Yeah, I know previously we had discussed about the EAC coming up with a design or a sign that either could be printed out or maybe in coordination with Public Works that then could be given to any applicants that received a permit. So I don't know if there's been any headway on that.
Does the ordinance require the sign to be posted?
The ordinance requires that something be posted notifying the surrounding area that there's an apiary.
So that is required, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we had discussed putting together just sort of a pamphlet or a single page that would just have a few basic, bullet points for, guidance for beekeeping practices for anybody who does sign up, and then also to draft some sort of a simple sign that they could post somewhere visible, or or at least suggest a format for such a sign that they should have. I guess we will have to put something together for that before anything gets fully passed, or I'm not sure what the status is on.
Council hasn't scheduled a hearing.
Yeah, what I was going to say is we can, the planning commission can still make a recommendation to council. Shelley is part, in the clerk's office as well, so she could kind of coordinate putting it on council's agenda with making sure that the sign is drafted. That way, we're not waiting on one thing for the other.
Because you're looking
Yeah.
at least 3 weeks, 4 weeks for a hearing, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Tim, just while everybody's here, is this a sign that Public Works could create and make available for purchase? Or is that something?
I was
Public
gonna
Works
say
would
that,
have to stay on?
I was gonna say that Bethany, at Public Works had said that she would help put something together for that. So I'll get in touch with her because there are a couple other things I need to reach out to her about as well. So
Yeah, she's going to be your best contact.
Okay, great. Very good. Yeah, I did have a short discussion with Bethany about this a few months ago, but of course, yeah, it's one of those things where if you don't.
Yeah, my concern with moving the ordinance forward, it does require the signage, as long as it requires the signage, we can work on what the signage says.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that someone brought that up because we met today and it didn't come up. So I'll bring that up to Bethany in an email.
Yeah. Does any of the commissioners have any questions about the ordinance? Okay. Do I hear a motion to recommend the ordinance to city council?
So
Yeah.
move.
Okay. And Nelson? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none?
Wait, still have-
Yeah, I think, is Will still here?
Yeah, it was in last. Sure. That was it. Oh, that was it.
Okay, great.
No, he's not on.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Well, let's make her.
Yeah, we have to wait.
Yes, I should, yeah.
For James.
Yeah, we'll just wait for James to come back, but there should be no reason to. No reason why, we should have a problem with that. So, if Mr. Bean, and Jim would like to stay on, they are more than welcome, but, if they would like to depart, no, that's your decision. Like I said, it just as a, oh, there's James. Oh, and Will is back too, so great. So we have a motion on the floor to recommend the beekeeping ordinance for approval by city council. Danny has motion, Nelson seconded. Question, it's a question on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And opposed? Hearing none, the motion is passed unanimously, and we will be moving this on to city council. Okay, next up on any comments on the zoning or saldo amendments that we're working on?
No, the hearing went fine, and the council will be scheduling it. They'll consider adoption at a regular meeting.
Okay, right. So that was phase 1 and 2. We had the hearing.
Yep.
Next, anything on the transit-oriented development ordinance? Hearing none.
Well, the TOD, you did get a draft copy of the ordinance itself. That was just submitted. If you did not get a copy, Simon will send it to you. We should be prepared to review it in more detail, maybe at the workshop session, and provide any official comments at our regular meeting in March.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we'll have some of this put some time for that on the workshop meeting. Since that's something that we're still questioning the size of the TOD, I think is,
The size and procedural requirements and things like that.
yeah. Okay, great. Any update on the Vision Zero plan?
Vision Zero, Jim, are you still there?
Yep, I'm here. Well, I can tell you, yeah, I can tell you this, Vision Zero is now part of the active transportation plan. That's different than the TOD. Active transportation plan is where we're looking at the city, particularly the downtown and specific corridors, to improve the alternate transportation, pedestrian and bicycle. And now Vision Zero has been rolled into that. They've merged the two. This is what we learned from Peter Simoni and Simoni Collins, is that they have now merged those two. And I'm still researching Vision Zero. It's a bit of a surprise for me, but I think it has a pretty good objective. Surprising. I'm not sure, because I'm the engineer. It comes down to the engineers to achieve zero fatalities and zero serious accidents. That's a tall order. It's not just a suggestion. That would be quite an accomplishment. But I think it's a good one. Just how you do it, I think, is the questions I have. But it's now been adopted, and it's also in the current draft traffic calming policy that Public Works just put together, and that's going to be presented to City Council on Monday at the Cal meeting. So Vision Zero is now coming into effect in all of these, and of course the goal there is that we can secure some future federal highway grant money to help out with installing these features that will hopefully improve our safety in the city streets.
Planning is also would like to continue pursuing this plan to make sure that implementation efforts are taking place as planned. And I think timelines are going to be set to ensure moves along with the downtown strategic plan, so that we can be able to mark progress as it happens.
Yeah, because it's always interesting to try to, you got funding sources coming from so many different places, or so many different plans that actually affect really relatively small part of the city. I mean, the active transportation plan, of course, is the entire city, but there are certain things that require more implementation in the downtown than in certain other sections of the city. Okay. Very good. Okay, we come up to our report section.
If I can say something before Jerome says anything, I think that item number 12 is also captured in number 13. Number 13B. So it is basically the same item, so there will be no need for us to repeat it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Item number 12, right too.
Okay, yeah, very good. Okay, any update on the downtown strategic plan?
Downtown strategic plan. At this point, we are continuing to work with the staff from the various departments. Yesterday was our deadline of when we are supposed to receive feedback. Some people have come to us, but we are following up on others to make sure each and every department within the city understands what is happening and are able to input before we start rolling it out. So this plan is at that stage. We are trying to engage everyone to make sure that people own it instead of the city running with it alone. So that's where we stand with that plan. In addition,
we will be making other visits to, or additional visits to various departments.
Maybe.
when is the rollout plan start? What's the timeline? The rollout officially has started, although we have not expanded out. That especially we were looking at around June for it to start going out after making sure everyone internally is familiar with the plan and understands what is happening. What we are seeing right now is that many departments are still kind of not, they have not fully grasped what everything entails. And what we are doing is we're taking time to work with each one to make sure people are familiar with what we are talking about. So we still have time between now and June. We still have these 3 months to make sure that everybody understands what is happening internally before we start going out.
So Jamie, we took all the 139 recommendations that were in the plan, and then we were then doing a who, what, when, where, how, and why type of thing, like answering all those questions straight across the board. What's the scope of the project? What's needed for the project? Who are the partners? Who's taking the lead? Who's the support? What's the cost? So each of those, some of the items belong to commercial core, some of them belong to public works, some of them belong to Reading Parking Authority, some of them belong to community development, and community development has several sub categories. We've been meeting with each of those departments, and we're going to probably more than likely revisit them. We were hoping to get a draft format of it in March, but we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, this will be presented to City Council. Once we get everyone, yep, we're on board with that. This is how we're going to do it. We're also hoping that since this plan was developed in 2022, that maybe we've accomplished a number of those implementation efforts. So we can then say we've already completed 20% of the recommendations, to say hypothetical.
Actually, one of the things that we're trying to capture as we engage the team is really to find out what has been implemented already, so that we can have a record of that, and there will be no need for repetition as we continue. Because most of things happening, we don't have very consistent follow-up of what has happened by each department, and that's what we're trying to sieve out to make sure we know who has done what as part of the report that is going to come out.
And this will help the administration department when it comes time for budgeting for the next year, that these projects are next in line and we need to implement them. They'll present those to council.
That's the other reason for the self-imposed June deadline is for budgets, in case something's.
That makes sense. Got it in June, just to remember. Thank you.
Okay,
good. All right. I think there's a minor update on the comprehensive plan.
Yes, the comprehensive plan, what we did is as we're working on the downtown strategic plan, we picked up on the comprehensive plan. And as I speak, we were able to submit our application to MAP last week. We did reach out and kind of have a conversation. I think we are favorable. Our application was complete, and they said probably feedback should be coming around May, June. But the application has been submitted. We are hoping with that funding, we can start on our comprehensive plan process. Yeah.
Next up is one of our favorite things to do, the Chapter 94 report. I'll let Tim tackle that one because he and Deb have to start that, I believe.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's already started. And I know that we have our consultant, Cedarville Engineering, has been working with Deb. I don't know if I could really give you a good update right now. I just know that they've been talking a lot. And this is always the crunch time to try to get things done. A lot of it really depends on all of the contributing municipalities, all the satellite municipalities. There's 13. They have to submit their information so that that can be all compiled into the report to be, delivered to the DEP. So I really can't give you a complete report. That would be Deb Hogue. But if you'd like, I can ask her and I can maybe next month give you a little better up to date where we're at with Chapter 94.
We're actually supplying the background information to Deb Hogue on proposed developments and projected developments.
Yeah, very helpful.
And then also, so we give that to Deb, and then Deb then integrates it into the report.
Right. So we have started it because it's
Our deadline is here.
Okay, yeah, because usually we receive, a spreadsheet just to make sure we didn't miss the project.
You'll be getting that, and then we'll check back with Deb to make sure we have time to tweak it.
Okay. I will make a comment about the annual report. I have to finish the resolutions and the minutes, so since we need to do this since we need to present it in April to city council, I got a few weeks.
And then I gotta take what would be helpful, whatever you have in draft form. I could take that and then start the report and then fill in the resolution numbers last.
Okay.
But I don't really need to know who made the motion or who seconded it. I just need to know if it was, what plans were approved, what plans were reaffirmed, what plans were considered tabled. You just go ahead, going by the same format.
Yeah.
As last time.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we're not gonna change it.
Right.
We'll keep it the same, and so, yeah, if anything you have on the minutes from staff as well as you, then
yeah,
I'll take whatever you got.
Yeah, because a lot of it will be just going from my notes on my on my sheet. That's why I take all the. I learned to do that when I worked back for the Reading Eagle.
Well, as part of planning process, I think the staff team is also here, would like to contribute to that as well, so just in case, always reach back and watch to input into that, basically, get comfort, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my major goal next week, is to do as much as I can on that to give staff a hand, because staff is buried with all kinds of other things like
Regular day-to-day.
chapter 94 and people coming to the window, stuff like that. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Will.
I think, yeah, I just would suggest that it would be a lot easier process if we had some kind of a tracker, like I've suggested before, like if there was some kind of program. So it could be done as we go along and just have a report generated electronically then. I mean, that part of the report. Yeah, we still have to have the narrative and everything else, but as far as which plans were approved or, tabled, etc. And that way we would have track of which ones are within the time level window for reaffirmation and all that sort of thing.
We have a new computer system that we're rolling out. We're still tweaking it to make sure it captures all of the information that we need. So that is in progress, Will.
Great.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah. Okay. The upcoming joint meetings, especially with West Reading, we're still waiting on West Reading to get back to us.
Yeah.
So.
Something like that.
Yep. And then other meetings attended by commission members. Sorry to say Peter is not here, so I'm not sure about what's going on. But I don't think BPRC had a meeting this month. I think their
They did.
meeting's in March. Oh, they did.
They had they had a determination hearing February 6th, unfortunately I was traveling. So I was not present, but they did have it.
So there was a determination hearing. So then let's get this mixed up. You had the determination first,
Correct.
and then you have the
Certification.
certification hearing. So we'll have more details for the certification hearing. We'll know more then and see if we need to take any action on what happened at the certification. So I don't think I have anything. Does any of the commissioners have anything to add?
If you mean for go to the order, I have something.
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
I just read that there's some progress on the former Glidden side on Burn Street. If anybody wants to report anything, that's encouraging.
Oh, actually, I did
Yeah,
read about that.
The Berks redevelopment authority that, and I'm just paraphrasing
Industrial-
from what I saw. Yeah,
Industrial
their
Development
industrial,
Authority.
yeah, that one. They have taken ownership of the Glidden site. That is all what was reported in WFMC is what I know.
Reading Eagle did report that, the site's gonna be split in two. And basically the railroad track will be the dividing line. Everything north of the railroad track, Schumann's going to develop. And everything south of the railroad track, the IDA will develop into industrial site. So it's exciting. If we get more industrial things coming into the city.
Yeah, and and this was a while ago, there has been some resurgence on bring back some small scale manufacturing and things like that. But it doesn't have obviously the same outputs as previously, in terms of like air and water and all of that. I mean, it's zoned for it, so.
Yeah. Which reminds me what, that just flew out of my head. So, but yeah, it's zoned for it, and where the, not that, most people should remember that, where the PPG site is, that used to be a junkyard, and now it's, this nice facility, so. Looking forward to see what they can do there. Okay, yeah, that was the effect. Here's the article. Once I remember Emily, I'll ask you by an email. Very good. Anything else from anyone? No? All right, our next meeting will be the Planning Commission Workshop meeting of March 18th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. This being a workshop meeting, if you can't make it exactly at 5:30, please join us when you can. As we said, we start at 5:30 so that people can present sketch plans just in case they have to go to the Historical Architectural Review Board, and if they need a little bit of guidance. And then our next regular Planning Commission meeting will be March 25th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Danny, second? James? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you.
You gotta put that in there as their board of